In today's episode, I had one of my students, Zasha, out of Hawaii. Zasha has a very cool story of being a civil engineer who quit her job to go full-time at real estate and has since become a millionaire through investing strategies like the Burr method, creative financing, house flipping, and a bunch of other cool things. She talks about her journey of going through social media, what it's been like being one of the original people in my coaching program 2 years ago, and how far along she's come since then. So you want to make sure you watch the full episode. Now, let's jump into it. Are you looking to grow your real estate investing business? My company, Future Flipper, can help. We've taught hundreds of people all over the country how to flip, wholesale, and buy rental properties. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your investing journey. Whether you're trying to get your first deal or scale your company, Future Flipper can help. We have courses, coaching, and events for all levels of investors. So if you want to take the next step, go to futureflipper.com and book a free consultation to see how we can best help you. Once again, that's futureflipper.com. If you've ever wanted to invest with me on my real estate deals, it's now possible. At Pineda Capital, we're purchasing value-add real estate all across the country. This includes multifamily, commercial, and land development. The best part is, with my network, social media presence, and marketing strategies, we're able to get the very best deals that others don't have access to. You can join in with me on those deals if you're an accredited investor. If you want to learn more, head over to pinedacapital.com to see our current opportunities. Once again, that's pinedacapital.com. Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest.
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
Innovate.
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
And inspire. I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You're now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. Today, I've got one of my very first students here on the podcast, and it's been really cool watching her grow these last 2 years, from somebody who was full-time at a job in Hawaii to now done with that job, doing real estate full-time, using the Burr strategy in, a very expensive market where people think you can't get deals or do rentals or those types of things, but also somebody who's become a millionaire and is inspiring a ton of people on social media, especially women. I've got none other than the one and only Zasha, or as you're known online, Invest with Zasha.
Aloha, everybody.
Yeah. How's it going?
Good. Just flew in, so kind of recovering from that, from Hawaiian time to Vegas time.
You took the red eye here.
Yes, I did.
Well, you look good, and everything's going good. We're here right now at my mastermind. There's a lot of people out there as we film right now. We're doing the VIP day, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I want to talk about your story because you've got so many things going on, and I've been able to see it firsthand, these last couple of years grow and develop. So, why don't you tell everybody about kind of where you came from?
Well, I was raised in Maui in Hawaii. I went into civil engineering. I got my bachelor's degree and moved home because I wanted to go into a field that would make money in an expensive market. And once I started, I worked for 10 years and found out that it really wasn't my passion. So I started getting into real estate on the side, on weekends, and, after work, just going on bigger pockets, finding out different strategies. And we bought a fixer-upper. From there, bought a rental, and then just continued to scale.
Yeah. So I remember so just some brief background for everyone listening. I started my coaching program at the end of 2019, so January 2020 was really like kind of the first month. And it's definitely not what it is today. Like looking at it today, we were just talking about that before the podcast, just how crazy it is, like how fast it's grown. And you were one of the first initial members. We need to come up with like a name for you guys.
The originals, the OGs.
The OGs. And I remember with the OGs, you were one of them, and we held our very first mastermind, which, by the way, like wasn't even a plan with the program. There was like 8 or 10 people, and I was like, hey guys, wouldn't it be cool just like all meet together? Cause like we've been doing this training and stuff. And everyone was like, yeah, let's do it. And so I was like, all right, let's just do it at my house. And so I remember you guys all came down to Vegas. You came from Hawaii. Jeremy came from Alaska. Brian came from Cali. There wasn't really that many Vegas people. And we just had a good time hanging out at the house and, just talking and going through each person and kind of what they had going on. And it's crazy to think about now.
Yeah, it was a really intimate experience, and I felt that everybody kind of was on the same level as far as support and just being in your home, having lunch on your kitchen island. It was really small, and I felt comfortable. For this being my first coaching program, it was exactly what I needed.
Yeah. And at that time, you had just flipped a house, I remember, right? Mm-hmm. You made a lot of money.
Yeah, so we had I started with my first flip was a condo because I didn't know how it was going to go. I have, 2 kids, married, so we wanted to not take too much risk. Bought the condo, flipped it, made $100,000. At that time, I was only making $70,000 a year at my job, and so my husband was like, "Dude, you should quit."
Can you just do this a lot?
It took us 30 days to renovate. We sold to a cash buyer 15 days later. So in 45 days, I made more than I made working a year as a civil engineer. So that kind of blew my mind and just made it all happen.
Well, the thing is, like, a civil engineer, like, that's a super skilled job,
And it's very stressful. I was working 60, 70-hour weeks and handling huge projects. So it was definitely, time-consuming, and it took a lot of energy out of me every week and away from my family.
Yeah. So how was it, like, doing that first flip while being a mom, being a wife, having this 60, 70-hour a week job, and just kind of like, like you said, you didn't have any coaching or anything. Like, you're just kind of winging it. Like, right. How was that?
It was difficult, especially just being married, in a relationship. And my husband knew going through that project, like, okay, this is going to be your first one, a tester. But moving forward, it's not always going to be like that. Like, you have to get your systems and processes together because we can't be this stressed out all the time just to make, we made a good amount of money. However, if it's affecting the family life or your happiness, that kind of isn't important. Yeah.
So you flipped that house, and then you joined the program. And I remember in our initial conversation, you were kind of like, yeah, I mean, the flip, I made a lot of money. I'm like, how much you make? And you're like, I made like $100,000. I was like, you made $100,000 your first flip? Like, are you the best flipper ever? Like, what's, that's crazy. And even then, though, you were still like, I just want to get rentals. You never really wanted to be a flipper per se. So how has things evolved, like, since, that initial conversation?
Right now, I am focused on mainly flipping, using creative strategies, partnering with other people to take over some of the other roles, and also build up my renter portfolio. So I bought a few rentals at the beginning of this year. I have 6 projects going on, renovations, listings, and things like that. And I mostly use the burst strategy, so I am in it with no money, or I get infinite return. That's always the goal. And also for my flips, I try to be in it no money, using hard money and then also other people's money to fund it, and private money as well. Yeah, I love that.
Same here. I don't really like to use any of my own money in any deals. And I'm hoping that any deal I get, if I do want to keep it, it's a good enough deal where I can get all my money back out of it. And that's kind of how I've built my wealth, just doing that strategy a lot. Right. There's not like a secret sauce to it. It's just get good deals, and however you choose to exit, whether it's flipping them or, refinancing and keeping them as rentals, you're going to just become wealthy just over time. So, I mean, at this point, you've got 6 rehabs going on, which in Hawaii is very different than most places. Like, I've been there and I've looked at potentially buying a second home there, And just talking to people who are local, because we have a lot of Hawaiians in our programs, they're like, yeah, the permit process and just construction in Hawaii is a nightmare. How is it?
As far as doing new builds, it's easier than trying to get a renovation permit or try to build, an ohana, which is a detached dwelling, I guess a second unit on the property. It takes probably about 6 to 8 months for the permitting process and the plans to get submitted. And then after that, 6 to 8 months to actually build it. So it is more so of a longer term play than it would be in other areas.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just heard too, it's like everything in Hawaii. Well, I know this for a fact. Everything is more expensive. Like we were there in, I think, June. Yeah. We took a family vacation in June. I'm like, man, this food's expensive. The gas is expensive. The hotel's expensive. Beautiful place. And I started thinking, I'm like, I can't imagine how much the contractors are and the supplies and all these things compared to what I'm accustomed to here in Vegas.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot higher, and people don't realize that going in. They take like mainland prices or prices from what they know. They come to Maui and think, oh yeah, I can apply the same thing, but it's almost like twice as much, if not 3 times as much expensive. Yeah,
and it'll take 3 times as long as it should.
Right.
I'm just like, man, Hawaii's a cool market, but I don't know that I personally would want to flip there. Like if I was just like picking a remote market, like if you live there, great. We have a lot of students successful out there locally. But you're just, you're playing a different ball game where it's like, we don't need to do big, high volume. Like, let's just go make 100,000 on a few deals and we're good.
Right. And that's the strategy that I have been using. And I know a lot of people, definitely go for volume, but because there's a bigger spread where I live, we only have to do so many to reach the same numbers.
Yeah. How would you say competition-wise it is out there? Because like in Vegas, man, the competition is fierce. There's a lot of iBuyers, hedge funds, me, other flippers and stuff. So it's like, it seems in Hawaii, there's probably not as many.
So there are a few flippers out there and people who come in and want to get into the business. But because it's such a small island, it's definitely relationship based, and people will come to you with deals or want to partner, or even sellers will come to you because, say, they know your cousin or one of your friends referred you. So I've been really focusing on that, just the networking aspect. And even a lot of agents have been bringing pocket listings. So I've been nurturing those type of relationships.
Yeah. And let's talk about relationships, because it's one of the biggest things that I preach to everybody is like, yo, get active on social media so that way you can network, build relationships, and you're going to do deals with people. They just have to know who you are. And watching you these last couple of years, you've definitely taken it seriously, more so than most, and really built up a good following. It may not be just like this huge, enormous following, but your following for what you're trying to accomplish is perfect. It's like, really, it's just like, hey, I need everyone in Maui to know who I am.
Right.
And if that happens, I'm going to get deals.
Yeah. And I found that a lot of people relate to me being a mom, having kids, the balancing of investing and building wealth, and they reach out to me. So I answer like most of my DMs, and I'm always there to help people get to that next level because I know what it's like, and I'm not this huge, too big to where I can't help smaller people as well. Yeah.
So would you say that pretty much all your deals have been just relationships? Like you're not doing any marketing?
No. Yeah. This year has been all relationship based.
Yeah. And my guess is they just found you from social media, from being active.
Yeah. Or a part of the community.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm. So out of those however many deals you're doing, like what do you think all of those will make when they're all flipped and done?
Probably all combined, probably about 500,000.
Yeah. See, so that's like, man, I remember when I first got started, I didn't do any marketing. I just was all relationships. Like, hey, let me go network with as many people as humanly possible. I want to go to coffee. I want to go to lunch. I was hitting people up on Facebook doing like outbound marketing where I was just reaching out to big players because I was a nobody.
Right.
And then you do the reverse where, you put out the content so people reach out to you. And like if you do both of those things, I was just telling the people in the VIP day today, like you can go dominate your local market very easily. Like it's not, people just don't take social media seriously enough that there's like much competition.
Right. And people want to do business with people they like is what I've found, or they can relate to or have some sort of similarity. So the more that you show that, especially through social media, I mean, that's the quickest way for people to get a glimpse of who you are.
Yeah. What would you say? What would you say to the people who are like, oh, well, I don't have time for it. You were somebody who is a mom working this job and, now having 6 projects. Like, what would you say?
I say make time, especially right now, because I have so much going on at nighttime. I take breaks whenever I'm in between, phone calls or I'm supposed to be eating lunch. I jump on. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Whoa.
So
I don't even do that.
Like they always, there's a saying, right? Is if you don't have time, make time. So that's what I've learned to do is make a morning routine, get up before the kids, get up before anything starts. That's when I do my exercise, my me time, thinking, journaling, and then also getting on social media, starting my day.
So when you get on social media, though, you're not like getting on to just go browse. You're talking about making content and stuff.
Yes, definitely. So I've learned to just focus. I mean, you need to engage with other people as well, but it has to be very intentional, especially if you're limited on time. So I make sure that I, get back to people in the DMs, comment on some bigger investor pages so that other people know who I am, and then also post educational content or content. Sometimes that's funny and entertaining, but also teaches them something.
Yeah, for sure. I think you just said a couple of great strategies that people might miss. When I think about social media and trying to draw traffic, I just personally create content. I'm like, hey, let's just make videos, and if they're good, hopefully the algorithms push them out, right. And hopefully people share them, and that's all I focus on, right? But you mentioned that there's other ways to actively grow that take more effort, but they're worth it. You said you go to big pages and comment, you will also, like I said, when I was starting out, I'll DM other big people like, yo, let's do a deal or let's do a collab. Like let's do something together.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to get seen.
Mm-hmm. And I found too, there's all these different features like Reels, IG Live, that you can now bring on another person. So I've been kind of using that strategy. And once, some bigger investors see me doing that, they're like, hey, do you want to be on mine? And then it just kind of snowballs from there because now they know this person is open to doing it. I want to try it. She knows what she's doing. And we go from there.
I know you and Brian Davila were on together the other day. I'm like, I guess I have to do it now. So yeah, I think it's super cool. I just, the point I want to point out to anyone listening is you actually took action during this time. Like, and I've had a chance to watch it happen and grow. Another guy who's been on the podcast, Alex Camacho, he's been the same way. He joined the program early. He's developed a really good sized following for himself. He moved to Hawaii too. And just to see kind of like, you guys take hold of it and take it seriously and reap the rewards is like, it makes me feel good because it makes me think, like it's not just me that's like seeing the results of this. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get like confused on, oh, I got to be on it and do all these things. It's like, no, you do what you can and then, focus on your business as well. It doesn't have to consume your life, but be, like I mentioned before, be intentional with the reason why you're on there. Create these relationships that may lead to deals or bigger things that, who knows?
Yeah. You never know what it's going to lead to. That's the beauty of it. It's just like all the opportunities and, just even at this event right now, I just talked to a bunch of people and they're like, hey, will you do XYZ with me? I got this, I got that. I'm like, that's what it's all about. Just being with other people trying to do stuff. So I think that's super awesome. Tell me, like, what would you do content wise? Like if you were recommending, somebody to start, because you're somebody who's, like I give my advice for content based on like what worked for me and my resources, but you're a perfect example of like somebody who could start today. Like, what do you do? What's your routine?
Mainly I start, so before the week gets too crazy, I usually on Sundays, I think of ideas, what I want to put out there, and then, try to film as much as I can or make the posts, pre-make them in my drafts, save them, and then from there, it gets easier to post throughout the week without taking so much of your time. And definitely posts that add value. Think of things that your audience will like. For me, I target, either newer investors or investors that are experienced, but say they don't want to be in the active realm, they want to be passive, so they want to lend. So I focus my content more towards that.
Yeah. What have you seen as like, you're talking about lenders now. You've seen a lot of lenders come through from all your posts?
Definitely. So one of my lenders seen me hustling on Instagram and instantly knew that I already had the drive, the determination. I was active, and that's how I kind of gained their trust, is that they know, okay, she's not just, sitting around doing nothing, and she also has experience. She's been successful, in all these flips, and she has all these rentals. So from there, getting that backing, but also them just physically seeing it with their own eyes through social media has built that trust.
Yeah, I say this all the time. Like, if you're in the real estate business and you are not actively showcasing what you're doing, and for whatever reason, maybe it's you want to be humble, or maybe you just don't like people in your business, or maybe, there's a million reasons. And I was the same way. I just didn't want people in my business. I was kind of private, so I didn't show it for a long time. But if you're one of those people, I would say you're foolish, because it's just, you are missing out on so many opportunities by not showcasing what you're doing. And you don't have to like make these crazy videos. You could literally just walk around a house with iPhone, just raw, unedited, live stream, walk through it. And that does the job of showing like, yo, Zasha's a hustler, she's doing it. And me as a lender, I might be like, oh man, like, I've thought about investing in real estate, but I just don't have time. I don't know what to do. But this girl's doing it. And then guess what? You still have to like tell people like what they can do with you, because that lender may watch it and he may think, oh man, like that's cool. Like I wish I had somebody that would do that for me. But guess what? Zasha's like, and by the way, if you want to get in on this deal, I need some lenders, or you want to get in on the next one like this, send me a DM. And then boom, that dude's like, perfect, let's go. And that was something I had to learn through my content as well, was once I started showcasing what I was doing, I did get people who were like, yo, I see what you're doing. Like, how do I get in? And that was cool. But it wasn't until I told them exactly what to do and exactly how I could help them, then the results started to change dramatically.
Right. They say it's a call to action, because you can, like how you said, put everything out there, what you're doing. But if you don't directly give them something to do or let them know how they could benefit, then they probably won't contact you.
Yeah. Because there's like the content I see sometimes where people are like, look at my watch. I'm like, you got the watch right now. And it's like, that's cool, dude, but this doesn't help me.
Right.
You got a cool watch, man. But if I'm like, yo, I just flipped this house and we're looking for lenders on the next one, DM me the word lender if you want to lend, right? That way I know what you want. And then, or hey, you want to flip houses like me? You guys probably see me do it on Instagram and stuff a lot. DM me the word flip. You can join Future Flipper. We'll show you how to start flipping houses. And the point is, like, if somebody watches you and they follow you, they have a vested interest in whatever it is you put out, right? So more than likely, they're going to want to do business with you in some way.
Right. And I try not to think about it too much before I post, because then I might not post. You can't really overthink it. And then even in your stories, you know they're going to disappear in 24 hours. So even if you post something that you didn't really like, it's going to go away. So
Yeah.
not there forever.
Yeah, I used to think about that too when I was posting stories because, they're more raw. But like, I remember I'd be like, do I want to post like these call to actions all the time? Like, are people going to just get annoyed of me?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, well, there's probably a lot of people who've never even seen my story before. This could be the first time they ever see it. And it might be the only chance that I ever get to show them like, yo, you could do something with me. So I guess us as creators, we think people are watching us all the time and like we're annoying them. But you got to remember that most likely, most people have not seen, you do what you're doing. You got a few loyal ones who like watch everything, but the majority are not seeing everything you do.
Right. I think a lot of people too, who are beginners, they need to see things repeatedly before they actually take that next step.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that first time they see it, they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And they see it again, then again, then they're finally like, yeah, all right, I'll do it. Fine. So yeah, I love that. One thing I want to talk about is the expensive market of Hawaii, since it's not something that everyone gets to experience. But I get a lot of people who reach out to me on the DMs and they're like, that's great, but I'm in California. What do I do? I can't flip these homes in California. So I want to talk about what it's like being in an expensive market. But before we do that, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. Have you ever wanted to invest in real estate, but you didn't have the time to find deals yourself? That's where Fundrise comes in. Fundrise is a crowdfunding platform that has transacted over $5 billion in real estate and has over 150,000 active investors. While many funds, like my own, require accredited investors, Fundrise allows anyone to invest with as little as $500. If you'd like to learn more, check out fundrise.com. Once again, that's fundrise.com. Are you looking to find off-market real estate deals? One of the best tools my team uses is Batch Leads. With Batch Leads, you're able to pull data, manage lists, and send text messages. On top of that, you can get nationwide access to the MLS to get pictures and comps. My team has used Batch Leads to get some of our best deals, so I know it works. If you want to start today, you can get half off your first month by going to batchleads.io and using the promo code Ryan. Once again, that's batchleads.io, promo code Ryan for half off your first month. Now, back to the show. So when you started flipping in Hawaii, did you have any fear of like the price point, or were you kind of just used to it because it just is what it is? Like, how was it?
It was scary at first. That's why we started with a small condo, and that was about a little over 300,000, and then we put maybe about 40,000 into it. So it wasn't too much, and I knew things were selling around 450 in that same complex. So I didn't have too much, I guess. It's a calculated risk at that point.
It's a very safe deal relative to, these $1 million plus ones.
Right. And then you don't have to worry about, structural or roof or
Because it's a condo.
The outside is all taken care of. So I figured, okay, this is a good place to start, and it worked out for us.
Well, especially as a civil engineer, you're like looking at all these, you're like, how is this thing built?
Right.
So, I know that one, and that's cheap for Hawaii. Other people are like $500,000 for a condo. It's crazy. But
it was only like, I think, 750 square feet. So it was pretty small too. And that was years ago.
Yeah.
So
what's that condo worth today?
Right.
Probably 700.
Right.
So you should have kept it. So you do a cheap one in your market, but now you're not doing that. You're doing some bigger ones.
Mm-hmm. And now to make the same spread, you kind of have to move up into that higher price point. So I think the most recent one that I did, the price point was around $450,000, which was still a good price for the house. We put about $200,000 into the renovation, and it sold close to $1 million.
Yeah.
So
how long did that take from start to finish?
Probably about maybe 14 weeks, 15 weeks.
You did a $200,000 renovation in 15 weeks?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say like a year. Dude, that's crazy. That's way faster than I was thinking. Well, if I knew I could flip, that kind of home and, that big of a budget in 15 weeks, I'd feel a lot better. You might have some competition in Hawaii.
Well, and like I said before, it's all relationship based, right? So because I'm local there, I understand, I'm willing to work with sellers. So recently I've been doing more creative deals. So that's how I'm making it work in an expensive market as well, is I will either partner with the sellers or I will offer them a little bit higher price if they can finance the deal and I don't have to come up with all the money.
Right. Explain to me like kind of one of those deals, how it plays out.
So with, they call it a novation, where you partner with the seller. The seller basically keeps the home in their name and also keeps the mortgage in place. And then you either bring the renovation funds or you you can pay the mortgage payments monthly to help them out. And at the end, you can either decide what the split will be or just offer them a higher price and then keep the rest of the profit. So there's a bunch of different ways that it can go, but the risk with that is that the home is never in your own name. So
Right.
if they decide in the end, hey, I want to keep it. Look, she just put 200.
This house is great.
I love this house now. She just put 200,000 into it. Technically, you put a lien on the property and you also take power of attorney. There's some extra paperwork that goes into it, but none of that guarantees that it's going to sell or they have to sell it.
Yeah, I've always, we've done some novations. I've done a lot of creative finance. If I was to put 200,000 into a house, I better own it. Like, that's just for me, like, protect me. I've done novations where I put, 10 grand into the house. And I'm like, all right, I'm only 10 grand into this deal. If things did go south, I could stomach that. And, but yeah, 200 is, whew.
That is definitely, you have to feel out that relationship too with the seller. Are they in some kind of financial distress? Do they really need the money? Are they super motivated? Do they have another house that they're already living in? So there's a bunch of different factors to actually make that work.
Yeah. So are you only doing Hawaii? Or not Hawaii, I mean Maui?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Just Maui for now until I figure out what my next steps are. I don't want to put too much pressure, especially because it's towards the end of the year. I want to enjoy the holidays and not jump into something totally new.
What's up with the other islands?
I just don't live there, so I don't have the connections yet. And I'm always down to partner if somebody experiences there or has a deal, needs money, or we can figure out another way to work together. It's just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. I know we have, how many Hawaiians do we have in Rookie and All-Star?
There's a lot. There's probably I want to say maybe 10 or 15.
Yeah, there's like 10. I think we have every Hawaiian flipper in the program. And dude, the funniest thing about the Hawaiians is I'm like, man, you guys traveled far to come to this mastermind, right? But you guys show up every single quarter. It's like, well, they call it the 9th island here in Vegas anyway.
Right.
But you guys just either love Vegas or you love the program. I don't know which one it is.
It's the gambling.
Yeah, it's the gamble. Is that true? Like Hawaiians just love gambling?
Yeah, there's actually a lot. I have some family members out here. There's, the price point is a lot more affordable. There's direct flights from Hawaii to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier.
There's a lot of Hawaiians that live in Vegas. Actually, Rads and Rochelle actually moved out here too. So super cool. Now, I guess, as far as creative finance goes, for those listening, I use it. I think it's great. My opinion, though, when people ask me, should you just focus on creative finance? How much of your deal flow is that? I'm like, dude, honestly, it's cool. We do it, but it's not a huge part of our business. At the end of the day, our fattest deals are always from just people selling their house at a big discount.
Right. And I feel like it's just another tool in your tool belt, right?
Yeah, I would make it the backbone of what you're trying to do.
Right. And I think if you're having to offer the sellers different options, that's always a good option. But of course, you'd always rather go with cash. The safest play is for you to own the property outright. Yeah,
no, for sure. So, what's the next plan for you? I've watched you these last 2 years grow. And I know you're trying to build social media still, but do you have plans to try and flip more? Do you want to, I don't know. What do you want to do?
I definitely want to continue to partner. and spread my time out, spend more time with my family, get more rentals, make more passive income. And also, I want to try Airbnbs. Like, I want to buy one. I've never done that strategy, so I've done the BRRRR strategy. I've flipped, done creative finance, a bunch of different rentals, cash. So there's a bunch of different stuff that I like to try, and that's one of them that I haven't yet.
I've wanted to do it too in Hawaii just because I want my own house there.
Right.
But it's like they're so strict.
Mm-hmm.
Do they even let you Airbnb like on single families?
No. So recently they have closed the permits for short-term rentals on single families and residential areas. They do have condos that are specifically zoned for short-term, but you have to buy in that condominium.
And then the HOA is like super high.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Somebody was showing me that, and I'm like, dude, I don't like. Okay, the reason I'm buying a second house here is because like I want a dope house. I don't want a condo, and I'm looking at the prices of these houses. I'm like, okay, what would I buy? And man, it ain't cheap. What I want.
Right.
I want one of those houses on McKenna. Is that what it is? McKenna?
In Wailea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are tight.
Mm-hmm.
How much are those?
Probably 10 million.
Okay. So my goal, I'm putting it out there. Okay. Zasha can have every deal in Maui except if it's on McKenna. If it's on McKenna and you can get me this $10 million house for, $3, I'll buy it.
Okay.
So yeah, those houses are sick. I was just driving down the street when we were there in June. Me and Mindy were just going, and I was like, dude, these are on the beach. These are like, they got land. They're massive. Is that like the nicest spot in Maui?
It's definitely upper echelon.
Yeah.
A lot of the locals live, in Kahului, Wailuku, upcountry, so more towards town.
Yeah. If I was to buy a second home in Hawaii, do you think I should pick Maui or one of the other islands? I
like Hawaii for, a second home. It's more rural, but still has a lot of stores and.
Is the pricing similar to Maui, or how is it?
It's probably a little bit cheaper, but not by much.
Is that where Oprah lives? Is that what everyone says?
No, Oprah lives in Maui.
Oh, okay. There was like the whole deal with Oprah getting backlash for like not opening her roads or something.
Yeah, so she does own a private road that goes from Kihei to Kula, and it probably takes 10 minutes, but if you don't take it, it'll take you probably about an hour and a half to get to the same place.
Dang.
So when there was a fire in Kihei, everybody wanted to use her road to get to higher
evacuate.
ground. Yeah, but
And they couldn't.
No.
Oprah. I get it from one hand of like, well, you own the land, and I don't want people on my house, I wonder how far her house actually is from the road.
Probably not that far.
Yeah. She wants her privacy, but man, what an inconvenience.
Well, and I think it's liability too, right? If somebody were to get in an accident on that road it's their property.
Yeah, that's true. It's very easy to sue Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe she should just gift that road and like make an easement.
She could.
That would help the locals out. It would definitely help. It might eliminate the road to Hana though.
I know.
Because you just go straight through.
Right.
That's funny. Yeah, I think it's super cool just like hearing your story and watching what you're doing. How has it been like just, I guess, what's your experience been like in the program? I like asking people who, are our guest. We've had a few that are in the program, but like what's the biggest thing you think you've learned?
I think not to be afraid to put yourself out there and try new things. Before I joined the program, I was just doing one deal at a time because I felt safe and felt comfortable. And then after, watching you and other people in the program, it gave me the confidence to be open to doing more projects at a time. And now, I'm handling a few at a time, and also to take that balance, right? Because you have also put on emphasis on your family, you put emphasis on health, to try to balance all those things as well as your business.
Yeah. That's the one thing I've started to notice from all of our students, right? Like we started out, like we were talking about, 8 people in my living room 2 years ago. So now I think in All-Star we have over 100, and Rookie we have over like 400. And then I see all of these cool people across the country kind of emulating the things that I've talked about for a while now of like, hey, you know, spend time with your family. It ain't about how much money you make. Like it's really about freedom and like lifestyle. And then I see people taking their health seriously, like calling me out to bench press challenges and stuff. And then I see people posting on social media, trying to grow a brand and a following. And I think that is the coolest thing, is to see so many like-minded people all together. Because it seems like there's like everyone is like trying to do the same type of things.
Right. And I like that in this program too. You can cater it to how you want it to be. So you don't have to be a Ryan Pineda and have this big flipping company and have CEOs and all that. You can still be kind of a one-man show, but have a few helpers, have VAs, partner. You know, you can take that route and just take on however many deals that you feel comfortable with. Yeah.
That's one of the things people always ask too. They're like, how much is enough? I'm like, dude, I mean, for everyone it's different. Right. Like there are people who are just like, oh, if I can make $100,000 a year flipping houses, just flip. In your case, one house, but you know, in most people's cases, you know, flip 5 houses a year, whatever. I'm good. Like I'm happy. And I'm like, that's great. Like I support you. You do not need to scale. You don't need to hire. You don't need to do all these things. Like you could do a one-man show and chill. And then there are people who want millions. I'm like, okay, you want millions. Here's the cost, baby. Right. Like here's the people you got to hire. Here's the processes. Here's how you do it. It's hard work, but it's possible. And here's how.
Yeah. I like that option, and that you give different avenues and people can just go with it.
Yeah. What I like is what you've started to do, as well as other students, is taking initiative. Like, so you started out as a student, and then after a year you became an accountability coach, right? And so like what we do in the program is we basically make students who have spent over a year, who we really like, who we think would become great coaches, we make them accountability coaches. And so they lead, you know, small groups, like groups of 2-3 people. And like that was great. Like I think the accountability portion is so huge for success in anything in life. But then all of the students were like, well, we want to start like these mini masterminds too. And I'm like, dude, if you guys want to do it, I ain't stopping you. Like I'm with it. Okay. If you guys want to run it, like cool. And so we have like a multifamily mastermind. Christian's out here. He's on the podcast too. Mm-hmm. And then you started a women's one, and other people have started other ones. Like, how's the women's one going?
It's going good. And I feel like, you know, because it is kind of like a male dominated business, it's nice to have that extra support for women, or if they're going through something, say their contractor, they feel like they're taking advantage of them, or something's happening because they're women, they can openly speak about it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What are some issues that you see that women have in this business compared to maybe men don't have to go through?
I think that's the biggest one, probably.
Construction.
Construction. I've
like,
seen
this
that
girl don't know what she's doing. You're like, I'm a civil engineer, fool. Like, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, it's crazy, because even as an engineer, when I would go to the job sites, you know, we'd be doing huge hotel projects or grading massive shopping centers, and they're like, oh, where's your boss? I'm like, I am the boss.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right?
You report to me. Yeah, I've heard that with women a lot, that construction's a hard part. It's funny though, because I think there are things that women have the advantage of. I say this all the time, like my VAs, I like to hire only women, and I don't think it's sexist, but I don't know. All I know is it gets better results,
right?
Because it's like people are less likely to hang up on women than they are to men.
Yeah, and that's the same with me for like when I go door knocking, right? Like a lot of people are afraid that they're going to get the door slammed, and maybe that's the case, but I feel like if you're a woman and approaching a home, it's less threatening than a man, like a strange man approaching you.
Yeah. Do you feel like, though, that you might have a threat by door knocking?
I just try to stay. So a couple pointers that I give women is like, okay, try to stay within, a visible area, knock on the door and maybe step back. Obviously go in sunlight, be aware of your surroundings, and then take somebody if you can.
Yeah. Like, have you walked into a strange dude's house? He's like, yeah, I'll sell you my house.
I've never walked into the house, so I've always been at the door. And then especially since COVID started, people are already distant.
Yeah. Yeah, door knocking's interesting. I've door knocked strategically of I know I want to reach this person. Maybe it's that house or some house. So I go door knock them. I'm like, I don't care. Freaking whatever happens, guys. But yeah, it's a little different when you're a woman and there's a lot of weird people in the world.
I know.
But I think for me, I kind of got over my fear of strangers when I was couch flipping. Because literally on Craigslist, I go and hit them up. They're like, yeah, go pick it up. I'm literally walking into strangers' houses every day, multiple times, just picking up these couches. And I saw some weird stuff, man. And then, I go to sell it. People are like, yeah, deliver it. Going and delivering this couch to, some weird person I never know. And, yeah, you definitely meet some characters, that's for sure. But I never felt once that, my life was in danger or there was a threat. I think the amount of weird people is very low. Most people are pretty harmless.
Yeah. Well, and I feel with women too, most women are good listeners and people like that. Sometimes they just want to be heard.
Yeah.
Where some men are just straight to the point. Okay, are you going to sell this house or not? Versus, for mine, I'm they call me the soft closer because I'll just listen until they're done and then, continue with whatever I have to say or talking about their home or their situation. So they feel more so heard than most other people.
That's funny. Yeah. It's funny because I'm I guess a soft listener too. Maybe I'm a silent assassin because I'll go into an appointment. If you ever go in an appointment with me, you'll know what I'm talking about because I just listen the whole time. I literally say nothing. I'm just yes, tell me about the house. Let them talk. I ask another question, talk. Ask another question, they talk. And maybe that's why I'm a host of a podcast too. I'm just a good question asker. And then I'll ask leading questions that I know are going to get them closer to the result I'm looking for. And then finally, I'll just be all right, now here's the final question. Even the offer is a question. It's never hey, I'll give you $1 million for your home. It's always sounds like there's a lot going on. Is there a price you're looking for? Maybe they tell me the price, maybe they don't. It's I don't know, but is something $1 million, would you even consider? I don't even know if I could pay that, but would you consider that? Mm-hmm. And then everything's a question. That's my number one sales tip for you guys. Never commit to anything. The only thing I'm committed to is my wife and my kids. Other than that, everything's a question.
Right.
So I think that's super cool. What you're doing, I think, the social media is great. I think there's some great lessons for everyone to learn as far as, getting started, expensive markets. Is there anything that you think is important for anyone listening to know?
I think the biggest thing that changed for me that gave me the ability to scale and take on more is really my mindset. So changing the way I think instead of, oh, I can't do it because it's an expensive market, thinking, okay, how am I going to do it because it's an expensive market? How am I going to close this deal? How am I going to get deals? What am I going to do differently? So basically having the solution seeking mindset and thinking positive. And every day I try to, tell myself positive affirmations and just really ingrain that into my mind.
Yeah, I love that. Mm-hmm. I think confidence, which is what positive affirmations are really doing. Confidence is the biggest thing. If you believe you can close a deal, you'll find a way to close a deal. You believe that you can make content and, put out social media stuff, you'll do it.
Right.
And you may not even be good at it, but over time you'll figure it out because you have belief that you can.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. where can people find you?
I'm most active on Instagram at Invest with Zasha with a Z. And I'm also on Facebook, but primarily Instagram. DM me, and I will try my best to answer any of your questions.
Yeah. If any of you guys got any deals in Maui, definitely shoot Zasha a DM. If you're interested in the program that she's in for Future Flipper, if you're a woman and you want to be in her mastermind, just go to futureflipper.com and apply or join any of our programs, and or just DM her and she'll tell you all about it. And, we'd love to have you guys in it. And I want to create more people like you who then lead other people to, become like them. So super cool. Anyways, guys, we appreciate you for listening to today's episode. Make sure you subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.